What is going on, everyone? Good afternoon. Happy Friday. It is Friday, November 14th, 2025. Trading Trends, ETF edition, and what a week it's been. What a 2 days it's been. Welcome, everyone. Thanks if you're a new viewer. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4:15, and we go break down the markets to you and share what trades I have on or considering to put on, and we do technical analysis through a CMT lens. All right. So without further ado, let's get to it. A lot happened today. What a recovery. Bitcoin, not so much, but there's nations hitting all-time highs today. I'm looking at you, Japan. So let's take a look. It was a very constructive day. A lot of people screaming, the sky is falling type stuff. We'll get through all the charts. No narrative needed, just charts. So today, energy in Taiwan, big moves, nice 2% advances today. And then China and Germany, not so much, down about 1.25%. We'll take a look at those charts. Japan trades to new all-time highs today. Not typically something you see in bear markets behavior. And last I checked, they do have some tech exposure. I don't think that trade is done. Also, speaking of the international markets, I did buy EEM today. I did a EEM call spread along the January 57s, and I sold some end of month 57s. I thought there was an opportunity perking up. And yes, I bought Bitcoin yesterday. So I think this is constructive. Let's get to the charts. And also, when all was said and done on the week was about 7%, roughly 7% drops in Bitcoin and uranium. We'll take a look. I have positions in both. So let's take a look. First, let's go to the panel because a lot did happen on the intraday with a lot of these stocks. Let's get to it. All right. So there was a point in the day where many of them were green. We'll get to the tape in a second, but SPY closes flat. NVIDIA adds 2%. Microsoft up 1.33%. Micron, that's what you like to see, up 4%. We've been talking about how it's a perfect stock. Oracle up nearly 2.5%. That stock's been getting beat up lately. Amazon down 1.25%. They sold off gold. They almost 2%. They really hammered silver. We'll take a look at that. BABA down nearly 4%. That's what kind of opened the door for the emerging markets opportunity in terms of China. There was a national defense story about them, and then IBIT. We'll take a look at that. I think we're going to take a look at the BITO because BITO hit a 52-week low, but IBIT down 4% on the day. So yeah, we'll take a look at all this more in depth. So let's just do what happens here. So here's the opening. We'll round for simplicity's sake. We opened at 665. I'm looking at SPY. And really, they did not stop buying it. Again, look at the candles. The volume starts going down. Curbed enthusiasm. What happens? Some sellers taking advantage right there. New York City, lunchtime, 12:30 p.m. The high of the day was noon at 675.63. And you can see here, look at this candle. We touch almost right to VWAP on the lows at 130. And I was watching the close very carefully because I want to see how we would go out with a whimper or with a bang. What kind of stand would the bulls have? And to be honest, the VWAP is 671.60, and it was really close there. You can see the bottom wick here on these both candles on 3:30 and 4 o'clock candle, and we actually held up above it. There's a nice surge in the final minutes of trading. So overall, constructive. Again, this morning we are at 663. They took it to 673. The market moves. Simple to say. So as I said before, you can call me Nostralama. We have been talking about since the highs, we need to take about a 15-day breather. We are day number 16, so almost on cue. Sometimes it gives you a lot. Sometimes it gives you, a little, at a time. For me right now, to be very frank with you, the Dow hit all-time highs 2 days ago. Japan today, it's not bearish behavior. It's typically, it just should be like 1 to 3 days out, the cues follow. That's just kind of the way it goes. Bitcoin is a totally different story. We'll take a look. But right here, in terms of the charting, I'm looking at new all-time highs. About 695 is my target. Again, the prior high is 690. And I was writing about this in Chart Advisor. If you're a new subscriber, we've been talking about the next level being 695 or a 1% gain from the prior highs. And that sets us up for about, we're at 673 close today. So that's about, 22 points, about 3% is what I'm going to say here for the next 2-3 weeks. You got seasonality supporting it. And of course, NVIDIA reports earnings Wednesday night. Could be a catalyst. We'll see the setup going into it. And again, you see this kind of this W pattern shaping here. I think we'll at least get there. Does it tap out there? I don't think so. It's not the Santa Claus rally just yet because that occurs, in December. But for me, right here, again, my target is November, close to right around Thanksgiving week. My loose date right here is the 25th, so it might shock people. But again, I said we're going to be bearish distribution phase. I think that, again, look at what happens in the chart with these hammers right here on the 7th. You got one, and look what happened. It got a nice run. But the question is now you have a hammer again. How high does this propel? I think you have 690, 695 in the cards. Literally, the day I have for right now is 2 days before Thanksgiving, that Tuesday. I think you're going to have a nice bullish run there. And that's really all I have to say. Again, on the scare, the RSI is at 49 here. Don't love that. To me, I internalize that as the sellers have more control than the buyers. But overall, just a great looking trend. Absolutely healthy bull market. And one last thing. If you're going to see at the index level, again, the stock market is a market of stocks. You need to see a lot of leaders go down first. JP Morgan, Apple. You're not going to see at the index level first. It's a market of stocks. So that is fat getting trimmed off of some of the craziest gainers of the year, like a Palantir, Nvidia, Broadcom, whatever you want to say. So this is absolutely healthy behavior. You would see, 6 sectors trading percentages below their moving averages, yet none of them are, except materials and staples. Staples is risk off. So you get different signals. Bitcoin is a little bit confusing, a little bit tricky, but compelling because it is absolutely the risk on instrument that we've had for decade plus, especially now with the adoption that it's gaining. So for them to see that traded to 6-month lows is very interesting. Let's take a look at now some of the movers, and we'll really put more to this. And you'll see what I'm talking about, why I'm not really afraid of the selling. And I'm very curious how Bitcoin trades this weekend, but to me today was very, very constructive. It's what you wanted to see. Let's look at the gainers of the day, and then we'll look at the losers. These are multiple standard deviation movers. Energy up 1.7%. It is not quite 52-week highs. That was struck last November at nearly $98. I know folks love this trade. Look at this. You're getting a hammer at the top of the Bollinger Band. There is pretty, I was writing that it was prudent to, I thought this was a little bit extended. I don't love to see 200 days moving averages start to just still declining, but obviously it's gaining strength now that it's at least living in these levels between 87 and 92. I said, I wrote in Monday, I said, if a close above 90 warrants a long position and an exit of shorts. I got stopped out of my USO short. I have not yet went long XLE, but I am taking a look at it. You got a very bullish candle today. They bid it up 1.7%. This to me is just a little bit overdone. To me, I still respect this short-term 92 ceiling. It's a great looking candle. I'm very curious what happens next on Monday, especially given everything that's been going on in the markets. You still do have your 200-day moving average sliding lower, 86, 87. I just think this still moves over the next 2 weeks. I would rather not be along just right now. I get the breakout somewhat. It's still not truly breaking out above those September 26th highs. That was 92, 91. But yeah, more to come. To me, I still almost don't want to sell the 92 calls because it's, again, that's a great looking candle today. It could be higher on Monday. Again, the high was 92.21. They sold it off just by 20 cents, and VWAP was 70 cents below that. So, strong bidding today, multiple standard deviation move. I just think this has a potential visit to 89 in the cards with the beta ramp up that I'm expecting. I don't think they're going to absolutely clobber, the energies. Like say Nvidia is a catalyst and reports a great blowout, and the quantum computing stocks are back, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't think XLE is going to get to break through those resistance just yet. And it's really had a amazing run from 87 to 92 just in the past 10 days. So trees don't grow to the sky. Next thing they bid up massively today, Taiwan. And that is largely made up of Taiwan Semiconductor. People are saying the whole trade is blowing up. I don't think so. This looks like a clear oversold buy to me. This is Taiwan Semi. I'm sorry, this is the Taiwan chart. I apologize. Boom. Up 1.8%. This looks great right here. I was going back and forth between buying EEM and Taiwan. I ended up going EEM. I went a little bit of, lever to Tencent in China. I talked about on the Wednesday's video. and a couple other reasons. But Taiwan, they bid up 1.8%. This hit highs on October 29th at 67.58. Looks to me pretty garden variety correction. You get a W here all the way in a country that's not the United States. It's happened a lot of charts here that we're seeing. This looks great. I think it has a bullish 2 weeks. This looks like it's going to $68, and that is going to be a new. Actually, what is the all-time high in EWT? 68.40. I think it's going to get very close within those Jan 2022 all-time highs in Taiwan. The momentum probably doesn't. And look at that. What a run it had then. And again, look at that. Microcosm almost fractally, another W pattern. This looks like it's going to surge through. EWT looks good here. Nobody told it had, a global scare or whatever this morning. It was up 1.8%. And you got it on sale. Look at the floor here, 63.5. Love it. Taiwan going higher. Trades, you could probably do the January 68s. That seems easy. I'd want to check the implied vol versus historical. I'm not going to pull up the option chain right now and make the show longer. But yeah, this looks absolutely great. Otherwise, you can also sell. If you do think vol is behind us, you could sell those 63 puts. And there we go. Next, Japan, new all-time highs. Actually, one sec. 84.54, 84.21. I had my data provider said EWJ had new all-time highs. I'm looking at the chart now a little bit closer, and it looks like it's very close. It may have done it like something pre-market or something, but it looks like it was 20 cents off on an $84 name. But anyway, we're just looked at Taiwan. Now let's look at Japan. Yeah, this looks good. Not as much upside, I would say. But I still think bullish 2 weeks. These bands are compressed. This looks like it wants to make a move, but this is an 88 cent ATR, average true range name. So about, inside of 1% a day. This looks like it's going to, $85 over the next 10 days. So a gain of $1, more upside in Taiwan. But again, seeing these charts globally look good, and the U.S. isn't just going to lag. You had the Dow hit all-time highs 2 days ago. All right, let's look at what they hammer today. And you'd be surprised. None of these are straight up United States exposure. You'll see what I'm talking about. Number one that they hammered, it was because of Baba. I think there was something out of the Trump administration where Baba's like using client names to target people or something. We're going to look at the charts. You can look at the news for yourself. But this, to me, looks like you had seen a relative strength breakout before this. That looked nice here as it tried to contend with that 65.5. Again, the 52-week high for China was 67.37. This is MCHI. It's a little bit, I think, weighted heavier towards Baba versus like an FXI, which is the main, the more popular China ETF. Again, very ugly trading on October 10th, as many did globally. And this chart looks to me decent. I don't obviously love today's candle, but I like the higher lows here. And this, to me, it may not be straight line, but this looks like it's going to more upside than Japan, I believe, short term. But this looks like it's going to $66 over the next about 2 weeks. So again, more bullish charts globally. These stock markets are made of stocks. Okay, we're looking bullish China, we're looking bullish Japan, we're looking bullish Taiwan. I don't think you're going to wake up and see all those up, 30 bips every day, for example, and see Qs down, SPY down massively. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. That's why this constructive candles today globally are very important, and you'll see what I mean in the next 2 weeks. When I say Happy Thanksgiving, I'm going to mean it. Next one. So yeah, that's we told the thing. So for all of these, honestly, you could probably buy January calls where I'm talking about the target. So and just check the price and position size accordingly. So Jan 66 calls look good to me on that. You could also sell the 62 puts. Bang. Next one. Germany, they sold off today. No national defense story there, but it was down 1%. Very interesting looking chart for several reasons. I'll try to get through them quickly. Peaked in July at $43. Truly, the excitement had not come back into Germany after that. It got within a couple of pennies on July 23rd. And even when you have Deutsche Bank making new highs and a lot of EUFN, which is European financials, this name has, you can see, just been range bound between that 43 and 40, just stuck in that range. You can almost sell that strangle all day, but you're not going to really get paid a ton. Today, we're talking about it because this is a multiple standard deviation move, actually, for Germany. It doesn't move incredibly. So I think it has a nice, again, global bull market, I think, is on for the next week. I'm really coming out bullish here. This looks like it has another week of bullishness till about that $42 ceiling. So from 40, I'm rounding 41 to 42. Yeah, I think it's got $1, but I do not think it has enough. The global bull market, I don't think will be enough to lift it through this resistance. So not, I don't really want to sell the 42 calls. This is kind of a low vol name as well. It's a 51-cent ATR. The 200-day moving average is at 40. You could sell those 40 puts all day. It hasn't been below it since May. That rhymes. So while it's not really a strong contender above 50 RSI, but I'll give this a day in the sun, especially when you have leaders, like I said, Deutsche Bank, and I believe they have Bayer, and there's healthcare. It's in a good spot. Blessed are you if you bought 40s there 7 days ago. That was a great buy. And yeah, so like I said, 42 coming up, I believe, in Germany over the next week. And then the next one, silver, we caught a double in this spread. We got out on that. I told you guys, I think on Wednesday, I got 110% in that. I'm glad I did. Again, W pattern here, boom, boom, boom. As I see the metals enthusiasm get decreased, that's when I expect beta to pick up. This has had a hell of a run. We saw it on the charts. We put out a note, and we talked about it here on November 4th. It was election day. Right there. VWAP that day was 42.90. We'll round 43. And I told you I got in the 47 calls. And then I sold 2 weeks out from against it. And there you go. It went to 48.5. I got out the day prior, right there, about 47 at the money. And here we are today, an ugly candle down 3.1%. Yeah, great flows for this since May. Obviously, great looking chart. I'm just saying corrections do happen as trees don't grow to the sky. Yeah, this looks like it's at its 21-day moving average right here. So it did a lot in a little right here, as you can see. Or it's just a hair above its 21-day moving average. Still a robust 56 RSI. If they really hammer it in terms of the, to the upside in the SPY and the overall bull market, I don't think they're going to really keep their foot on the gas in this. So the downside for this could possibly be $41. I'm not expecting that, but I do think look out below for right now we're looking at silver. I think it's headed lower in near term. I would say 43 looks like an easy target. All right, let's now go to the top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. Just kind of staying in the metals complex. Guess what they bid up to make it the best performing ETF this week? So kind of a mixed signal here. Gold miners up 5.5% over the past 5 days, or an average of 1% a day. Today, reversing and bucking that trend down 1%. You see that hammer here. They really sold it off. Like I said, silver is down 3%. This down, the gold miners down just 1.1. And they sent this as low as $73 today. VWAP was 75.40, and they closed it above that. So really impressive, kind of reminiscent of what the overall equities market did today. Right now, I do not want to chase these up. I tell you guys when to go long gold miners. I'll tell you when I do it. It's not right now. I don't like the metals trade for the next 2 weeks. This is a very volatile group. You saw it back here just really decline. This was down 9% on October 21st. And yesterday it was down 3%. This could give back gains very quickly, not meaningfully down to 56 level with 200-day moving averages. But for the next 2 weeks, this looks like a target of, I think, $70. So that's far from here. I'm encouraged by the candle today. But I still think $72 is in the cards here. And then after that would be an invitation to get long this name. It is a leader. We'll be looking at it later at the end segment with the best of the year. And this name is on that short list. So you do want to get involved. I expect the 50 RSI to go be broken as well. I think we're going to trade probably to around a 45 RSI, and that's where the buyers will step in. That probably coincides with a 72 spot price. All right, that's the gold miners. The best week for all the ETFs, okay? Up 5.5% this week. Number 2, XBI, Biotech. Nothing to risk off about that. Biotech, the second best week of any ETF, and it hit what's that? A new 52-week high today? That's pretty bullish behavior. I don't think that's let's sell the market. Everything's going to go to zero tomorrow type behavior. Biotechs look good here. I mean, what can you say? It's a 52-week high, for goodness sakes. And this has been just a measure of the 50 RSI. This has been about 45 RSI since May. And it wasn't even above the 200-day moving average then. There's a couple of reasons to get into Biotech in mid-August once it closed above the 200-day. And then right here, when you get this curl into overbought territory with a breakout above prior highs and the 200 moves higher, this trade technically, for many people, probably technically started October 1st. So this is like 6 weeks ago from 101. What are we seeing short term? This looks like this will participate with the global bull rally in the next 2 weeks. This looks like it's headed to about 117. It's had a really, decent week, up almost 1% a day. Today, up 2. This was a monster day on the 11th, up 3.5%. That's a great gain, for all the volatility that's happening in the market. And again, you're seeing this in many charts. Look at the candle. This was from last Friday, but look at what happens after a hammer right there. When the moving average is going higher and you get a hammer and you're above 50 RSI, folks say, oh, I'll buy that. It's just that simple. There's more buying pressure than selling, and that's all we're doing here. All right, that's XBI. And then number 3, natural gas. So the winners this week, gold miners, Biotech, and natural gas, they were all up 5%. UNG up 5%. Let's take a look at the chart. So you got also another hammer here in natural gas we're seeing. It was down 1.7% today. It was up 5% on the week. This looks to me a little bit overdone. I don't want to chase this. We called it out before coming off the 52-week low when we said expect upside, especially when we're having a bearish distribution phase for SPY, which I expect to be ending literally today or Monday at the absolute latest. I don't want to chase this here. This looks like it's absolutely being constructive. That 200 moving average is super heavy at 16 even. You couldn't get above. Would have been encouraging if you got above 70 overbought. That would have let me know that there's really animal spirits in the natural gas. But this looks like it's going to head to about 13.5, which is $1 off from here, or about 7%. So I don't want to sell calls. You could buy the puts if you think it's going to plunge. I'd have to check IV on this. The options are cheap. It's not really my favorite play, but possibly like the January 13 puts, but it's really not my favorite. But overall, nat gas, I believe, is going low over the next 2 weeks when this bull market just simmers. All right. 3 losers of the past 5 days, the top 3 losers of the past 5 days. Oh, what an ugly week it was for Bitcoin. And it's continuing live as we speak. Do watch it this weekend. I don't know when it turns, but let's take a look at BITO. BITO is a crazy ETF. It's 52-week low today. So obviously that is not bullish for Bitcoin. We thought this was going to base. We thought this would be constructive. This is a wacky chart because Bitcoin hit all-time highs in October, and you see what BITO did. It had that little ugly candle here, and then it went lower. So it's very wacky correlation with Bitcoin. It's got a 65% dividend. So I'll look at this just because we have to, but I'll switch to IBIT in a sec. Is IBIT on here? I'll just do it anyways. What the heck? What the haka? So right here today, BITO down 4%. I expect this to base, like I've been saying, but I do think in the cards is a move to 17 even for BITO, which would be, $2 and change. Let's go to IBIT, which is a much better proxy. So I bought this yesterday. So this is in purgatory here. In purgatory, it started a while ago. It started on the 4th. So this is 10 days of purgatory. 6-month lows now is basically, almost encountering hell. So you went from purgatory to hell, says Dante. And the 200-day moving average is going lower. So not bullish behavior. Don't love to see that. The sellers are in control. That's all you have to say there. And the RSI has been under 53 since the week of the all-time high. So don't love to see that. Look at the candle here on IBIT. We already saw what BITO did. So here is IBIT. Again, the test on the October 17th, still rising 200-day moving average, nothing wrong with it. It looks absolutely great. Now you have all the short-term moving averages going lower, and it's getting its butt kicked by SPY since October 13th. So right here, it has really fell out of bed versus SPY. Hence why SPY is 2.5% from all-time highs, and IBIT is at 6-month lows. What do we expect to happen in the next 2 weeks? See what happens, obviously, this weekend, but it does look like this should get back above its 200-day moving average, and this was what led me to buy yesterday. I do think this will be a big oopsie. It's really not convincing right now, I know, but Bitcoin deserves the long leash due to the gains it's given, an average of 100% over the past 10 years. And pretty much since inception. So, of course, IBIT doesn't have that history, but I'm talking about the actual OG Bitcoin. So I do think there's two problems with this. I think it's going to tangle, and it's going to get to $60 over the next 2 weeks. That is a nice, what is that? $6, move. So about 10% rally from here. Bitcoin, I think, is trading 94, so that would take it to about 104. The problem is after that, for specifically look at this IBIT chart, the overhead at 66 is extremely heavy. No one has wanted to own that since early to mid-October, October 10th to be exact. So there's no buyers right now in sight to that 66 level. So can it reclaim 60? Yeah, I'm literally betting on it. But does it get above 66? That's going to take. You're going to see RSI have to soar and folks to just go insane. Like your aunt at Thanksgiving when you guys are passing mashed potatoes to each other. So you need that kind of euphoria to get it above 66. I don't see it happening in the short term. So BITO down 8.5%, the worst performing ETF in all the land. If you're long BITO this week or Bitcoin in any form, not so great. But I think brighter days are coming soon. It's going to frustrate you a little bit more though, but that's what it does. Number two, and I'm in this trade, got close to stopped out, but we're still in it. It's January. It is Uranium. Uranium, a very nasty week. It's had an amazing year. So again, when things are having an amazing year, and now people are bidding up healthcare and energy, sometimes cash has to come from somewhere. And I think, JC said it. What did he say? Expansion is not breath deterioration. And that's, basically what we're seeing here. This has had an ugly slide here. Again, the W fell out. You thought it was going to form, but he had a lower low here below that handle, the hammer from October 22nd. And then we fell out of bed with that down 5% day on November the 4th. And we haven't been above 50 RSI since. I do think this is going to stop soon. To me, the floor is $44. You saw what happened today. It went to 43. They bid it up. VWAP was 44.5, and it held that too. I do think this is headed, and I'm long January option spread. I do think this is headed to $50 over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that's a nice gain of 10%. This moves to, it's a 70-cent ATR, average true range on a $45 name, basically. So it moves. Uranium, nasty week, down 6%, or an average of 1% a day, basically. And today doing exactly just that. Nice looking handle, candle though today. All right, and the next one I also have a buy order in for this. It did not get filled. I will want to see the dust settle a little bit more. It's for Kathy's ARK Innovation. Great looking candle there too. Although you got one here, and then look what happened. Things fell out of bed. So of course, you always got to be weight of the evidence, type of approach when you're constructing anything, especially in market. So here, I will say the money flow since October 30th has been ugly. I'm talking about the exits, the candles from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So basically where we close. And they've been pretty ugly overall. I do think this stops. I do love the candle today. To me, the floor was honestly 78. I'm surprised they sent it as low as 74. So pretty wild to me. Right now, technically your floor, of course, right now it's trading 77. I think this is headed to $84 in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So $84, that is $7 from here, or just about a 10% gain. And what I'm looking at is January. I think I'm looking at one right down here. January 90 calls, and I was going to sell the November 90s or the November 28th 90 calls against it, but we'll see, obviously, because the spots moved so much. But this looks like it's getting to $84 in the next 2-3 weeks, and I love January calls for that as well. All right, let's start to so the top 3 trades of the past 5 days. If you were short Bitcoin through BITO, short uranium, and long GDX, you absolutely killed this week. Why I'm not so suspicious about the market, so concerned, is those are all winners. BITO, we'll take a look at the charts we already had. Actually, we'll go into GDX next, but BITO has been a loser. Bitcoin itself a winner. They hammered it. Not so surprising. Uranium, absolute winner. It came down, like we said, 6% this week. And then gold miners, they got back into it this week. I think it's a little bit extended. All right, let's go right into that. Speaking of gold miners, your year-over-year leader, number one, and there's so much dispersion in what I'm about to say. Your number one leader is GDX, is the number one leader in ETF return from November 14th, 2024 through today. It's up 114%. I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm not talking about Ethereum. I'm talking about gold miners up basically more than a double. Exactly what we caught in silver, actually, 114%. The GDX did it in a year. We already gave our forecast on this. This is a very durable, resilient theme. You want to get long. To me, that setup is probably going to happen early December after the bleeding, stops. And a great level is probably $70. And I think they potentially hammer it, and that'll be your invitation. But this is the year-over-year leader. When this thing gets hammered, it would prove wise for you to start looking closely for a long position. And what I will do, because I'm out of the silver, so I do need metals exposure. When the time comes, I'll probably be looking at, I'll have to see when it comes. It's maybe something like a February 80 calls against, selling something 3 weeks out at, like a 15-ish delta. Number two, leader year over year, and I didn't want to make this like the metals segment, but there's gold here as well. There's silver. I really tried to change it up, but there's no Bitcoin. There's no like SMH. I'm talking about returns, monster returns from last mid-November, and that's SLV up 65%. So you have GDX up 114, and then you have almost half that, a little bit more than half that, silver, the metal direct. Up 65% today, down 3.1. Like I said, I'm glad I got out just right before on the way up. And we already gave our call for SLV specifically, because it's obviously a great trade going forward. Like I said, I think that setup is going to come probably in early December. If they hammer it, and I'm talking absolutely hammer, and silver moves like hell, if they get you another 10% down from here to $41, you buy it, and you buy it some more, because this chart is extremely strong. It hasn't been in any kind of concern since early April, when the globe had 52-week lows, and they were just selling questions first and asking questions, selling questions first, selling things first, asking questions later. This looks like it's going to be in the penalty box for about 2-3 weeks, at least $45. I think this is headed to probably closer to 43. You're lucky if you get it at 41. And then after that, again, we'll see what the trade is after that, in terms of recommendation. But I think the metals will pick up again after this beta advance happens. It's probably going to be after Thanksgiving, is what I would have to guess in terms of cycles. And then number three, best performer, a paltry 43%. Honestly, that's what I'm saying. The gains have really rotated. It's GDX now up 114 year over year, silver up 65, and ARK up 43, just 43. The ugly thing about this is, and I didn't mention it before, the lower lows here. I don't like the stair step, and this is somewhat correlated with Bitcoin. So the fact that Bitcoin touches 200-day moving average, does ARK do it as well, which would be $67 on this. That's one of the things I'm looking for. Is NVIDIA's earnings report on Wednesday a massive catalyst for this? Yeah, of course. So we shall see. I think it sticks the landing here, but again, we said that about BITO. This is still doing, somewhat. I think it's got a date with 83. I don't think we see 67, but you got to be ready for anything here. I am looking, like I said, at the ARK Jan 90 call spreads. I want to see how it trades on Monday, Tuesday. If you want to play NVIDIA through this, you can obviously do see what constituency for different ETFs, and you can play NVIDIA that way if you really want to look for a more of a controlled options way to play earnings. All right, you guys have an absolute stellar weekend, and we'll be back on Monday. Deuces.